Sofia worked as a waitress in a small restaurant on the outskirts of the city. It wasn't luxurious or well-attended, but it was the only way Sofia could make any money. Her life revolved around her job and taking care of her son, Lucas, who suffered from a rare disease. Every day, she worked hard to provide him with the necessary medications and support, but the medical bills kept mounting and her hope was fading with each passing day. That night, Sofia was on shift as usual. The restaurant was almost empty, with only a few tables remaining occupied. She was tired, but she didn't allow herself to stop, because every minute of work brought her closer to the possibility of reducing her financial burden. All she wanted was to give her son a chance for a normal life, but the amount of money needed for his surgery seemed unattainable. Around 9 in the evening, a man walked into the restaurant. He looked simple and unassuming, dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, with no signs of luxury. Sofia greeted him and led him to a free table. She had no idea that this customer would be the key to change in her life. The man ordered a modest dinner, and Sofia served him as attentively as she served every other customer. Her manner was professional, but without a hint of ostentation. Over the years, she had learned to keep her emotions in check, even when everything inside her screamed with despair. The restaurant gradually emptied out. The other employees began to finish their shifts, but Sofia was still cleaning and preparing the place for closing. She didn't even notice when the man finished his meal and asked for the bill. She brought him the receipt, which showed a modest amount, and went back to her work, not expecting anything special. When Sofia returned to the table to clean up, she noticed something unusual. There was an envelope on the table that the man had left after his visit. At first, she thought it was a regular bill or perhaps a note of appreciation. But when she opened it, she saw money inside, an amount that exceeded all her imagination. In addition, the envelope contained a short note, without any extra words, expressing appreciation for her work. At first, Sofia could not believe her eyes. She counted the money, and her heart began to beat faster. It was an amount that could completely cover the surgery for Lucas. Her hands shook, and her eyes filled with tears. She ran out of the restaurant hoping to catch up with her husband, but the street was already empty. Only then did she hear from a colleague that the man was Keanu Reeves, a famous actor who, despite his status, always remained humble and indifferent to other people's grief. This unexpected event left Sofia in a state of shock, but at the same time gave her hope. She realized that her life could change, and that she now had a chance to save her son. Her heart was overwhelmed with gratitude to the person who did not even know her story, but did something incredible. The morning after Sofia received the unexpected help, she woke up with a sense of hope that had long eluded her heart. The envelope with the money was on the kitchen table, and every time she looked at it, tears came to her eyes. All she could think about was her son, Lucas. The money meant that the surgery she had been unable to afford for so long was now possible. She knew she could not waste time. Sofia started acting immediately. She called the hospital where her son could have the surgery and explained the situation. The medical coordinator, hearing that she now had the funds, organized a consultation with the surgeon for the next day. Sofia felt a huge weight gradually falling off her shoulders. But at the same time, she was overwhelmed with excitement because their entire lives depended on this surgery. That day, Sofia also decided to share the news with a few close friends. Her friend Maria, who knew about all of Sofia's difficulties, was shocked to hear about the case. She supported Sofia all the way, helping her prepare the documents for the hospital and taking care of Lucas while Sofia worked. The hospital staff was ready to receive Lucas. When they arrived for the consultation, the surgeon, who specialized in complex cases, explained the surgery process in detail. He noted that Lucas had a high chance of a full recovery if everything went well. These words inspired Sofia, and she thought again about the man who left the money. He may not have even realized how significant his gesture had become. As the day of the surgery approached, Sofia and Maria devoted all their time to preparations. They bought everything Lucas needed for his stay in the hospital, organized the verification of all documents, and spent a lot of time with Lucas to support him morally. Sofia tried not to show her anxiety, but inside she was constantly praying that everything would go well. The day of the surgery came. Sofia took Lucas to the hospital early in the morning. The surgical team was ready, and the surgeon assured Sofia once again that they would do their best. The waiting was the hardest part. Sofia sat in the waiting room, holding a photo of Lucas. She recalled all the moments of their life, from her son's first laugh to the difficult days when they fought his illness together. The time seemed endless, but eventually the surgeon came out of the operating room. His face expressed calmness, and he reported that the operation was successful. Lucas was transferred to the ward, and Sofia was able to see him. Her heart was filled with gratitude when she saw that her son was sleeping, but looking calm and healthy. Sofia spent the next few days at the hospital with Lucas. He recovered quickly, and the doctors were pleased with his progress. Sofia used this time to process everything that had happened. She decided that she had to find a way to thank the man who had helped her and learn more about his story. Upon returning home, Sofia began researching information about Keanu Reeves. She learned that he was known for his good deeds and humility. His stories of helping others inspired her even more. She decided to write him a letter telling him how his gesture had changed her life. In the letter, Sofia described how this unexpected help enabled her to save her son and restore her faith in human kindness. The letter was sent through a restaurant manager who knew where Keanu was during the filming. Sofia did not expect a response, but her heart was filled with gratitude that she was able to express her feelings. She also decided that she should use this experience to help others in a similar situation. After Lucas' recovery, Sofia began to participate in charitable initiatives. She helped raise funds for other families who needed financial support for their children's treatment. Her story inspired many people, and she often shared it at local events to show how even one good deed can change lives. For Sofia and Lucas, this case was the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. Their journey was no longer one of despair, but instead one of hope, inspiration, and gratitude. And although they may never meet Keanu Reeves in person, his act will forever remain in their hearts as a symbol that humanity and kindness can work miracles. After Sofia was given the opportunity to help her son Lucas through the unexpected generosity of Keanu Reeves, her life began to change not only in terms of her material well-being, but also in her inner understanding of her role in the world. She felt that this story was not meant to remain just a personal memory. It was meant to be an impetus for action that could help others. When Lucas returned home after his recovery, Sofia felt a huge surge of joy and gratitude. Her son looked happier than ever before. He was able to go back to school and socialize with his friends again, and this was the greatest gift for Sofia. But a new idea was born in her heart. She wanted to pass on the kindness she had received. Sofia decided to create a charity project aimed at supporting parents in similar circumstances. Her first step was to reach out to the local community, where she shared her story at a community event. Her story was sincere and powerful. She spoke of the pain she felt when there seemed to be no way out and the hope that a stranger gave her. Her story touched many people, and she began to receive support from local philanthropists. The name of her project was born by itself, Chain of Kindness. Sofia set out to unite people who were ready to help each other, creating a kind of cycle of good deeds. Her main idea was that everyone who received help would pass it on, finding new people who needed it. Initially, she organized small fundraisers for families who needed money for children's treatment. She found these families through local hospitals and social services, as well as through referrals from friends. Sofia, along with a few volunteers, began to create a small fund that financed treatment and rehabilitation for the children. One day, she met a woman named Eliza, who was in a similar situation. Her son needed an urgent operation, and Sofia, remembering her own experience, could not stand aside. She organized a charity concert at a local cultural center to raise funds. The concert was a success, and thanks to Sofia's efforts, the surgery was paid for. After this incident, Eliza also joined the Chain of Kindness, becoming one of the most active volunteers. The project began to grow. Sofia was approached by local entrepreneurs who offered financial support, as well as various organizations that helped with logistics and medical contacts. More and more people wanted to become part of this movement. Sofia even started receiving invitations to appear on television to talk about her initiative and inspire others. One day, her story reached a journalist who was working on a documentary about the impact of random acts of kindness on people's lives. He contacted Sofia to learn more about her journey. During the interview, Sofia told him about the night in a restaurant when her life changed thanks to an envelope with money. She spoke of her gratitude to Keanu Reeves, although she realized that he might never know how significant his act was. The documentary, which featured Sofia's story, received a wide response. People from all over the country began to contact the Chain of Kindness, offering their help or asking for support. Sofia realized that her project had grown from a local initiative into something much bigger. Over time, the Chain of Kindness became an official charitable organization with regional branches. Sofia created programs to train volunteers, organize partnerships with hospitals, and even launched an online platform where people could tell their stories, ask for help, or offer support. At a conference on philanthropy, Sofia met a well-known philanthropist who offered to fund the organization's long-term programs. This meeting allowed the Chain of Kindness to start building a rehabilitation center for children who had undergone complex surgeries. The center has become a symbol of how one chance meeting can turn into a large-scale movement that changes the lives of many people. Sofia has always remembered that day in the restaurant and the envelope that opened the door to a new life for her. She realized that her son's story and a stranger's generosity were the beginning of a journey that gave her life meaning. And although she may never meet Keanu Reeves again, his act will forever remain at the heart of her project as a reminder that kindness has no boundaries and can change the world. The development of the Chain of Kindness continued to gain momentum. Sofia could not even imagine that her modest initiative would ever become so large-scale. She often reflected on how the project had changed her life and the lives of thousands of others. Her story was inspiring, but also a reminder of the power of random acts of kindness. One day, Sofia received a letter from a woman named Rebecca. The letter told her how Sofia's story, which Rebecca had seen in a documentary, had inspired her. Rebecca said that she is a single mother who works 3 jobs to provide for her family. She also mentioned her son, who dreamed of becoming an artist, but they could not afford even the simplest drawing kit. This letter touched Sofia's heart. She decided to help Rebecca because her story reminded her of her own journey. Sofia organized a small charity event to raise funds for art supplies for Rebecca's son, as well as financial assistance for the family. She personally traveled to Rebecca to hand over the collected items and support her morally. For Sofia, these personal meetings were extremely important, as they reminded her how much of an impact even one sincere conversation can have. During this meeting, Rebecca shared her dream of creating a free art club for children in her neighborhood so that they could be creative and develop their talents. This idea captured Sofia's imagination. She decided to help realize this project. Together with the volunteers of the Chain of Kindness, they organized fundraising and materials and found a place for the art club. A few months later, the club opened its doors to its first visitors. Children who previously had no access to creative activities could now draw, sculpt, and create something new. Sofia attended the opening of the club and watched the happy faces of the children. It was another confirmation for her that her work was worthwhile. At the same time that Sofia was helping Rebecca, she began receiving requests from people from other countries who had learned about Chain of Kindness through social media. Her story went viral, and people started sharing it, calling for similar initiatives in their communities. Sofia realized that it was time to go beyond her region and expand the organization's activities. She created an online platform where anyone could share their story, offer help, or ask for it. This platform became a meeting place for thousands of people from all over the world to come together to do good deeds. Sofia also began organizing webinars and trainings for volunteers who wanted to learn how to help others. One day, the platform featured the story of a girl from India who dreamed of creating a support center for women who had suffered from domestic violence. Her story attracted the attention of many users, and Chain of Kindness organized a large-scale fundraiser to implement this project. Sofia was amazed at how many people from different countries came together to help this girl realize her dream. Along with the expansion of the organization's activities, Sofia continued to keep in touch with those who had received help earlier. She learned about how their lives had changed and was inspired by their stories. It was important for her to see that good deeds have a long-term impact. At one of the meetings with the volunteers, Sofia shared her thoughts about the future. She said that she dreams of creating a global movement where everyone could find their place and do good to the best of their abilities. Her words inspired many people, and a team of volunteers began to develop a plan to create an international conference dedicated to charity. This conference became one of the most important events in the life of the Chain of Kindness. It brought together representatives from different countries who shared their experiences and inspired each other for new projects. Sofia delivered the keynote speech, in which she told her story and how one random kind act changed her life. Her speech received a standing ovation, and many of the attendees admitted that this story inspired them to join the kindness movement. At the end of the conference, Sofia received an award for her contribution to the development of charity. But for her, the most important thing was not recognition, but the opportunity to see how the world is changing through the unification of people. She realized that her journey was just beginning and that there were still many challenges ahead, but she was ready to overcome them. Several years have passed since Sofia first received that unexpected envelope of money that changed her life. Since then, the Chain of Kindness has grown into a global movement that has reached dozens of countries. Sofia could not even imagine that her story would have such a big impact on people around the world. She was grateful to everyone who joined this initiative, but deep down she always returned to that fateful event in the restaurant. Her son Lucas, now a teenager, remained at the center of her life. He was well aware that his life had been changed by the unexpected kindness of a stranger. Lucas grew up with a sense of gratitude and a desire to help others. He often accompanied Sofia to charity events, helped organize campaigns, and even spoke in front of people, telling his story. One day, Lucas offered Sofia an idea that inspired her to start a new project. He said, "Mom, what if we created a place where people could not only receive help, but also learn how to help others? Something like a school of kindness." Sofia thought about these words and realized that this could be the next big step in their work. This is how the idea of creating the Center for Kindness was born. A unique space where people could learn the basics of volunteering, social work, organizing charity projects, and even psychological support for those who have experienced difficult life circumstances. Sofia and her team set about implementing this ambitious plan. The construction of the Center for Good began with the support of philanthropists and partners who were inspired by Sofia's story. The center was designed to be not only an educational, but also an inclusive space where everyone, regardless of age, gender, or social status, could find support and inspiration. The center planned to hold trainings, lectures, workshops, and joint events that would unite communities. When the Center of Kindness opened its doors, people from all over the world came to the ceremony, who were part of the Chain of Kindness. Sofia gave a speech in which she reminded them that it all started with one good deed. She emphasized that every person has the power to change the lives of others, even if they think their actions are insignificant. The first months of the center's work were intense. Sofia and her team worked tirelessly, hosting guests, organizing events, and creating new programs. One of the most successful initiatives was a program for young people, where teenagers learned how to organize their own charitable projects. Lucas became one of the leaders of this program, inspiring his peers to do good deeds. One of the stories that emerged from the center was particularly touching. A young man named Enrique, who grew up in a poor neighborhood and experienced many hardships, came to the center looking for meaning in his life. Thanks to the support of the team, he not only made new friends, but also started his own project, a digital skills training program for children from low-income families. Enrique's project quickly gained popularity, and Sofia was proud to see how his initiative was changing the lives of many children. Despite all of her accomplishments, Sofia always found time to stop and reflect on her journey. She often thought about Keanu Reeves, who was the catalyst that set it all in motion. She knew that his act was done without any expectation of gratitude or recognition, but she still wanted him to know how much his kindness had changed her life and the lives of so many others. One day, when Sofia was looking through the letters that came to the center, she saw an envelope from Hollywood. Opening it, she found a letter from Keanu Reeves. In it, he wrote that he had learned about her story and was amazed at how one small act could make such a difference. He thanked Sofia for her work and for continuing to spread goodness. This letter was another confirmation for Sofia that good deeds always find a response, even if a lot of time passes. She decided that this moment should be celebrated and invited Keanu to one of the events at the Center for Good. To her surprise, he agreed. When the day of the event arrived, a crowd gathered in the center's great hall. When Keanu Reeves entered, he was greeted with a standing ovation. He looked as humble and simple as he did that day in the restaurant. Sofia gave a speech, telling the story of their meeting and its consequences. Keanu listened with a warm smile and then took the stage himself, thanking everyone for their work. This moment was the culmination of many years of work for Sofia. She realized that her story was not only about helping one family, but about the power of humanity to change the world. Although her journey was full of challenges, she knew that it was all worth the effort. Her journey continued, and there were many more stories waiting to be told because of one good deed.